of 12 noon, and we are live. So tell me, how's everybody doing today? This is what I would call Watch Me Wednesday, where, of course, asking folks to give us a call and watch and let us know what's on your mind, because that's why we're here. We are here to give regular Democrats the opportunity to, get their message out in a nice way and interact with a real life host. And, say we're always here for the Democrats. And, today we have a lot to talk about. Uh, you know, and as I looked at the Financial Times this morning, it's one of the few things I look at. And Wall Street bank earnings shatter records as traders thrive on Iran war volatility. Okay, so Wall Street guys made tons of money uh, because when it's volatile, that means that there's a lot of movement in a stock or a stock index. And the way this thing has been looking out, up 1,000, down 400, up 800, down, God knows what. And the truth of the matter is, the reason those guys made their broke the records was because you would have to think that there's like some remote possibility that that the president or somebody in the White House tells his Wall Street buddies, we're going to accelerate action in a couple of days, so let's get those market orders in early. So and it gets worse because Wall Street's some like big generic place, right? But there are people there involved in markets all over the world that move the world markets. I mean, there's major commodity brokerage houses in New York and Chicago and places like that. And so as you may or may not know, wheat and soybeans and corn are a couple of the agriculturals that are traded on the commodities index. And of course, you buy when you think prices are going to go up, and you sell when you think they're going to go down. So what you have here are professionals betting on the price of food, and who's to say they're right or wrong, but it's the tip off, the knowledge that nobody would be that right without some inside help. And it's not as if it's not if Trump hadn't have a reputation for doing this. And I'm gonna tell you, it with Trump, it's amazing to me. The corruption is just out there. It's like he has always been this kind of guy, in my opinion. He's always been a bulldozer kind of guy whose position is, well, stop me then, or make me, whatever it is. He's a recalcitrant guy who started with a nice little piece of change, and of course he didn't do anything astronomical with it. Any idiot could have left it in a stock index and done much better than he is now. But that's besides the point. This sort of and I'll share this an article a little later on about drones, and isn't it awfully coincidental that the kids just so happen to invest in a drone maker just before the order comes in. Now, I mean, you remember the old TV detective Kojak? Well, Kojak never believed in coincidences, and you got to wonder whether there are any coincidences at work here. I doubt it. It's not like, the guy's laid a reputation down. Why people, and the reputation that he's laid down is like, I don't know, maybe 180 degrees from the delusional AI generated picture of him as Jesus Christ, the Lord and Savior to at least 1 billion people around the world. Oh, and of course, the truly ignorant because they never They never shut up, no matter how wrong they are. And yeah, he's just an ignorant guy. He ignores facts. Particularly, he ignores facts. It almost doesn't matter because he makes his own reality. But his reality is increasingly distorted, excuse me, and increasingly delusional, as I think we're kind of seeing firsthand. So, and another thing, as it comes out about Trump going to China and all that stuff, does anybody realistically think that Trump can out-negotiate anybody? He can't out-negotiate it. He can't out-negotiate a wet noodle. Well, anyway, he could negotiate his way out of a paper bag. He just, people have caught on to him. The gig is up or the jig is up, whatever that expression is. So it's clearly time we stop this. And it's obvious you can't. A Trump loyalist is a Trump loyalist, not exactly a patriot, not exactly a pro-U.S. kind of guy. And, from every aspect that I can see, we are substantially worse off than we were, a couple of years, and, geez, could it be only a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago? Joe Biden was the real deal. I mean, he understood what it's like to be the steward of 340 million people and the responsibility that comes with it. Trump could care less. I mean, he's God knows how much devastation, death we've caused in Iran just lately. How about the bridges being bombed and the girls' schools, and it's just, it's like nothing really matters because it's not his. And then the logical extension in his mind, well, if it's not his, then he should be free to take it. And then it goes, oh, well, I'm free to take it because who's going to stop me? Or after you get stopped, says, well, you got to give the thing back. Won't make me. I mean, I appreciate challenging process at every step along the way. But at some point, it becomes abusive. And, his personality is there. There's no getting around it. Jamie Raskin sponsored a article of impeachment, or at least start the 25th Amendment procedure, and that I can't imagine what that would take. He's so outrageous and so insane that we've become immune to the moderate insane. We're not quite used to the full-blown bat poop crazy insane. And I say that full-blown bat poop crazy because he left unhinged behind a long time ago. So if you want, I'll let you know what I really think one of these days. But let's see what else we have to talk about today. Oh, and happy April 15th. Everybody get those tax returns in. And let's, I know taxes have been historically unpopular since taxes came in. I mean, nobody likes giving up a substantial portion out here in California of their income to what a lot of taxpayers consider inefficient government. And that's just not true. The government, pre Donald Trump was pretty efficient. Everybody was really happy. There was no need to do what he did. There was no need for Doge. There was no need for the ICE deaths. There was no need for any of this. So, there was just no need. And to me, when there's somebody who craves violence on a large scale like that, not only are they just a warmonger, but after they taste blood, it's not the same. They want more. That's a warmonger with bloodlust. And he's the idiot that is in control of everything. He can make the markets go up. He can make the markets go down. He can throw the entire weight of the federal government behind an enemy. Did you hear that? He can throw the entire weight of the federal government behind, to attack an enemy, whether it's a voting, like a poll worker in Georgia, or he just doesn't care as long as he gets his way. And again, we'll got a little more to talk about this, but as you guys I'm sure know, Jay Powell's tenure is coming up on the board as chairman. Rather, he can stay on the board. I forgot the Federal Reserve Board. That is, I don't know, for a couple of years after. And he was pretty good. He pretty much engineered soft landing when we needed one. He was a stable hand, and if there's a contrast to that, it's the weasels we have in those positions now. And by using the term weasel, it's kind of a cruder way to say cavalier, which means it doesn't. I didn't get hit in the stomach. I don't feel anything. Oh, sorry about yours. I didn't even say sorry about yours. And how about talking to the waitress who's using her tips to pay for her husband's cancer treatment, which is, a sin in a country like ours. So anyway, Trump is meeting this woman, and he's of course using her for his no tax on tips deal. And he says, I'm like, oh, I know this will come in handy to help your husband's cancer. And she says, yeah, it's been a rough time. We're going through, what we're going through. And Trump just doesn't even acknowledge, the poor woman suffering. And I'm sure you can, kind of imagine that in those sorts of situations, not only does the cancer patient have it bad, but the caretaker has to watch and do, they're the everything. So, it's, and you wonder, even if a tragedy occurred in his life, would he know what to do? I'm betting that he wouldn't, because he never knows what to do. He does what feels good and right to him in the moment. Again, he makes decisions on whether it makes him feel good or bad in the moment. Most people would look a little research, a little evidence, a little something, but no. And when he says no, it affects 340 million Americans. And my God, the farmers. I think the average allowance under some farm bill was like, $100,000 or something, whatever it was. And as it turns out, the average farmer got like 800. And guess who the big checks went to? Ooh, I'm stunned by the deafening silence. They came from agricultural, industrial companies that were, heavens to Betsy, contributors to Donald Trump's campaign. It's, you just, I got to tell you, Europe is laughing at us. They really are. And if anybody looked outside the U.S., they would know. I would always ask people to tune into BBC or DW24, Deutsche Welle 24, a little German angle, or France 24, whatever you can get your hands on. And like I say, I don't remember how old I was when I started watching the foreign news like this, but it was actually might have been pre-internet. And there was a broadcaster who was just the coolest thing, Daljit Dhaliwal, and she was, I forget if she was BBC or France 24, one of the two. Uh, but the point is that if you tune into other countries, you will get a completely different perspective. And where I come from, it kind of helps to have a little more information than not. Go figure. But I just thought I would throw that out there. And oh, you know what? Is somebody say? You gotta love those little sound effects these days. Okay, so let's should we check back into the news? Or what, let's take a second. Let's see what that old stock market's doing. Uh wow. Looks like a big day on the NAS, but not nothing to write home about on the S&P and Dow. And let's see, so a couple minutes left till the trading day, and Trump may need to, you know, exercise a little favor for somebody. Who knows? But market manipulation is criminal, and and the traders, like I say, they thrive on volatility. If stocks are pretty range bound, it's hard to make any money. They have to really go up and really go down, and to make any money at it. And don't forget, when these guys do it, they're not buying 100 shares of whatever it is. These guys are multi-billion-dollar family corporations, more or less, with offices all over the world. And would you also believe? I know this is incredible, but would you believe they pay a lot of smart people a whole lot of money to do this? Yeah, you could hardly be surprised that people that get paid to do a job at that level have a level of intellectual development that God knows how few people on earth have. Oh, and that's you talk about these data center things that are going up. My Another question that I have is, how how do you just throw how do you build a data center? And it's an infrastructure problem, right? So you look to infrastructure engineers, and how few engineers and engineering firms have the capability to do that sort of thing. Not many, right? So, another rich get richer story, but that's another timeless deal. Oh, and well, we can't. Yes, it's only natural to have financial stories in the Financial Times, but the Federal Reserve nominee Kevin Warsh, Warsh, adds to rich roster of Trump picks, and he made the list because he disclosed assets, more or less $130 million. And if you're not spelling oligarchy now, you really ought to go see the ENT guy, because this is what it looks like. A few rich people owning everything. And you can rest assured the president gets his little cut, and that's all he cares about. All he cares about, what's in it for him. And, when you're kind of a grifter, fly by night, kind of guy. And again, he never, he just doesn't dispute his character. He'll double down on it. And I got to tell you, one of the funniest moments about that was the old Stormy Daniels trial. And, whatever she does for a living, she does for a living. I'm not, I'm not here to judge. But anyway, the point being that as after she testified, I'm sorry, this is too funny. After she testified as to like the type of underwear he wore and the color and all that, in the shape of his penis, and then and how he performed, I guess. So she's given detail after detail after detail. Stuff you would only know if you were there, and you would, and I'm sure she wouldn't. No woman wants to advertise this kind of stuff, and there's certain things no guy wants to advertise. So anyway, she testifies, size, shape, color, the whole deal. And he gets up, swears on the old Bible, the same one that he sells for $60, uh, to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help him God, Lord Jesus, whatever you believe in. And he gets up on the witness stand and says, "Never saw it before in my life." It's like a bad movie. It's like really living through a horror show. And the real question is, what can we do about it? And ultimately, in a democracy, we can only do one thing, and that's turn out to vote. We get the right to choose who our leader is. Now, how this mistake happened is relies on sheer lying and deception about the 2020 election and even going forward. For the 8 millionth time, there was no noticeable fraud. It was like 4 votes out of 10 million, nothing. So let's come understand this. That you just the guy's just absolutely too sleazy. And maybe later we'll do our Donald Trump. Trump says, Trump lies for you. That's probably coming up in the next hour or so. But in the meantime, we are here and talking about Kevin Walsh and his $130 million. Okay. Now, there's this thing, the IMF, right? The International Monetary Fund. And if you want to know more, go look it up, because I'm not here to educate like that. But the IMF forecast, this is again from the Financial Times, food price alarm sounds. And why are food prices going up? Well, a couple of reasons. The big reason is it costs, wheat and corn, whatever it is, to make them. Then you got to ship them. And we're talking like all over the world. I mean, soybeans. China was buying tons of our soybeans. And was is really key word, because now they went to South America because of Trump's tariff, which deserve their own book on the Trump presidency. But let's try to leave that kind of stuff in the distant past, because people are going to make money on this, and people are going to starve and die. And it's kind of like, which side are you on? And it's not a black and white deal. If you can give, great. If you can't, at this particular time, that's don't worry about it. So, but let's see. Yeah, this is you would never believe this. Russian business is real. I said real. Russian business is real, as tax increases feed the Russian war machine. Okay, so Russia, never really had a good economy. Those guys are, talk about, cold-hearted killers. But so anyway, we're talking about the Russian and the tax increase. So yeah, so not only is Russia losing, its future male population, uh, but of course Putin needs more money to pay for things, and his oligarchs are, you have on some level, they plead that they're tapped out on some level. Well, probably tapped out means different things to different people. If I'm tapped out, that means I don't have, like an extra $100. If those guys are tapped out, they may be down to the last 10 mil or 100 mil. So, so anyway, the point is that Putin is just not only he's killing their own people, but he's taxing them to death to pay for it. It's not a mystery. He's, pretty well guarded guy, and there's probably not much you can act. And again, it's the Trump deal. What are you going to make him do it? Now, looking back, we really should have, Ukraine was warned that they were coming, even while Zelensky's thinking it's a war game and a bluff. American intelligence knew that they were coming, and the Ukrainians did nothing. And the truth is, what can you do with, like 500,000 Russian troops on your border? It takes a while to get organized and get you guys up to speed. It's not like the old days where, your army meets my army in the middle of the battlefield, and, whoever lives wins. Sorry about that, guys, but throat's been giving quite the workout. Talking, I rarely talk this long and this deep, but I do it for you. We are broadcasting to us, ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, and all the ships at sea, or something like that. Oh, but it's even better than that, because being on the internet means you are effectively worldwide, like the web is worldwide, and that's pretty cool. From our undisclosed location in Newport Beach, California, I get to share my opinions with everybody. And in turn, you guys get to call in at 949-629-3820 and let us know what you have to say. What do you think about the Eric Swalwell thing? Are you going to vote for Katie Porter? Or who's got your attention? Tom Steyer. Now, I actually gave some thought to running for governor. Oh, that was the wrong button. I actually thought about running for governor. I know. I really should. And they were like waiting for my announcement. And then I decided not to, which I think kind of a shame. But it did give me a chance to use the sound effects, so it can't be all bad. And let's see, while we're talking about sound effects, we got any guitar players out there? It doesn't matter, acoustic, electric, whatever, as long as you play or even make noise. The only thing we're not crazy about is a ukulele or an ukulele, or whatever it is. To me, and a ukulele is like the West Coast version of a banjo, as far as things you really try hard to avoid. At least and along the East Coast in Charleston, South Carolina, where I grew up, banjo music was kind of hillbilly-ish and not refined enough for the fine young men and women of Charleston, South Carolina. I doubt I'm in that group, but just thought I'd mention that. And let's see. So let's keep going here. This is kind of fun here. Where we'd still like to hear from you, 949-629-3820. And let's see, we covered the and how about the fact, I didn't make this up, fact, not fiction, fact, that our Vice President J.D. Vance That's zero in the Middle East. And in Hungary, he kind of came up on the L side, if you know what I mean. And, we really ought to bring back that scarlet letter thing. He would look really good with the scarlet letter L on his head, wouldn't he? I just, as it should be. And then, you can't make this stuff up, folks. And then to pick a fight with the Pope. Those guys have ushered in a period of moral and ethical free fall. And, like the fish rots from the head down. That's true with this administration. So let's always remember, that JD was a fraud when he started. And, once you have to think about a leopard rarely changes its spots. Well, it's kind of like hard for a weasel to quit being a weasel because all they know is being a weasel. What a vicious cycle, huh? But the worst part is, of course, it's perpetuated by people that have political power. And I'm going to tell you, I don't expect those guys to go willingly in 2026 or 2028. I cannot imagine the fight Trump's going to put up to not have to leave the White House. I spoke the other day that I thought the Congress ought to establish a new judicial branch to strictly deal with the administration problems. There are so many challenges on such a nonstop basis that they get clogged and that they get delayed in the traditional justice system as it exists. So I would certainly not be opposed to hiring 3, 4, 5 judges. I don't or of course you'd have to have a panel more or less. I think that'd be the better way to go. But sometimes you just need to acknowledge a ball is a ball or a strike is a strike, and you have to. Likewise, you have to acknowledge your mistakes and your shortcomings. My granddad had this thing about a big man will admit his mistakes and the small man never will. And of course, it's one of those truisms in life that just keep playing out. So anyway, let's see what else after. Oh, JD, the hillbilly elegy guy, got rich working in Palo Alto, venture capital stuff. And if you ever consider what group is really, really, really powerful, it's the venture capitalists, because they determine what gets funding and what doesn't. So they really determine our future in ways I used to live in Northern California and go to Palo Alto periodically. I had a cousin who was a scientist at Sun Micro. And, it's just Stanford and Palo Alto have always been on a different level. People on the East Coast and South and Midwest, they may not get it. But Stanford, Stanford is the school where the graduates are most likely to become millionaires, or 10 millionaires these days. Because, here in Newport, you can be worth 10 million. You're just another guy standing in the grocery line at Ralph's. So just kind of thought I'd share that little aside. Let's see here, JD. Oh, and how about this one? Beijing flexes its power through export controls as, this is important, as President Xi strengthens his hand ahead of the Trump meeting. Okay, so Beijing, which used to be called Peking, by the way, those guys change names periodically. I have no idea what the deal is. So you have the president of China, a couple billion people, and he's deciding what countries they will ship to, or the correlate would be who gets to import from China. And a lot of countries, and I'm sure the U.S. is one of them, don't have the industrial base they once had. They effectively privatized it in China, and all goes well until you kind of upset China. And Xi's an opportunist. This is he made, and he and Putin and everybody, everybody around the world knows this. The United States will never be weaker than with Donald Trump. I mean, the way the government's hollowed out, and the way they keep firing the chairman of the Joint Chiefs military conflict, which I think we can all acknowledge is a war, is just astounding. So that's kind of why I think Pretty Boy Pete Kegseth, uh, it's not like he's the only one. They all follow the pattern, and the undying allegiance to a 79-year-old grifter, liar, cheater, thief, whatever you want to call him, abuser. I just don't get. And I, I'm the first one to tell you that being in Newport Beach, California, I don't exactly get a read on what's going on in downtown Chicago, upstate New York, deep south. What's going on in the Delta, or home of Ole Miss, or what's going down in New Orleans, and or how about the Tidewater South? You never know what the whole country is thinking, which is why people spend so much money on polls to get some idea of who's watching, who's listening, and try to cater their craft to them, or their content rather. And okay, let's move. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. This is the last thing from the Financial Times. As the U.S. spooks scientists, China is racing ahead. Okay, so we are making it really uncomfortable for China. I mean, we're making it really uncomfortable for scientists to pursue science because of this Philistine administration. They'll deny climate change with the water when they drown because of the water rising. So you can't But anyway, so as China's tightening up on who gets what, causing shortages in different countries, not unlike an oil shortage that some other country might be causing. So they're making it really, really, really friendly on scientists. And the league goes more and more. And I don't know how many of you are keeping up with the missing scientist saga in New Mexico. But if I'm not mistaken, 8 or 10 U.S. nuclear scientists have vanished in New Mexico. 8 people like that don't disappear. Number one, they don't disappear. Number two, if they did, it certainly wouldn't be, that many. So we need to get to the bottom of this, and you've got a Tulsi Gabbard, looking at election fraud claims, when there's no basis for the allegation. That's the real irksome part. There's no evidence to support the allegation. If there is evidence, it's been, I think courts have, you can take judicial notice of the fact that the administration has offered, it's been, actually, they hadn't offered, they've just been really upfront about lying in court. And, in the good old days, you wouldn't even get to do that once. You'd be, you would either be in the jail or you would be under the jail. Either one of which is not very cool. So, but let's keep plugging away here. I moved to the New York Times, and this is great, a split United States comes to grips with a largely hazy war. Now, hazy suggests like some inability to see clearly, like fog, or like maybe a little confusion because you're not properly oriented. So the and while I'm not gonna harangue you about this, but let's just say, but for Newt Gingrich and Ronald Reagan and those guys, we wouldn't have this sort of evolution of government to downright hostility towards the government. Uh, you would have to get Newt Gingrich was the first one who started the warrior mentality of Congress. Fight, fight, fight. Don't give in. So don't compromise. Like, you idiot. That's how things are done. It was designed that way. And if you couldn't agree, it was designed in a way that nothing would be done. Not a minority position, but just nothing. So, majority having to say is, was innovative back then, but I think we've kind of accepted it in the United States, and we really don't appreciate anybody trying to take it away under false pretenses. So we just that's just why we need some, like a new government branch to deal with the insanity that comes out of the White House. And by the way, there's nobody that doubts Trump's insanity at this point, do they? I mean, isn't, my position had always been that January 6th was just enough to, by standing alone, to deny him the presidency. I mean, that's just a sheer eligibility problem. But I don't think the Constitution says of sound mind. I think the Constitution just says you have to be 35 years old. So we can only hope that's a mistake that'll be rectified in the near future. And you show you the stickers on the mug, and give us a call 949-629-3820. We'll be happy to put a sticker in the mail to you. So let's see. Oh, and tonight, just for those listening, tonight is the Costa Mesa Democrat meeting, and we'll be attending that as a member. How about that? I actually joined the Newport Beach Women's Democratic Club, which is what it's called, but I would join just about any women's club that would have me. And let's see, I also joined the Laguna Beach Democratic Club because they're one little town south, and Laguna is known to be a really progressive, like gay friendly art, that kind of thing. And I always think it's good to get those guys' thoughts on things. So we're happy to join them, and also join, like I said, the Costa Mesa Democrats. And I expect the Costa Mesa Democrat Club crowd to be substantially younger, and of course more energetic. I was actually shocked at the age of some of the members of the clubs. They were older, and I mean, I appreciate older as much as next guy, if not more, but there's no substitute for youthful energy. Let's just be upfront about it. Absolutely no substitute. So moving right along, and I hope you're having as much fun as I am with this. But yeah, the split U.S. in the U.S. is just it's kind of old news at this point, isn't it? Not to put too fine a point on things, but we like to put a fine point on things. So, as if the guy wasn't stupid enough, he starts arguing with the Pope, the spiritual leader of the world's Roman Catholics. And he's from America, Chicago, I think. Well, Pope Leo, I guess, I have no idea what the original Pope Leo was known for, but, Leo the Lion. So, anyway, you got to assume he did a good job defending somebody. So the fight Pope Leo, I sends the traditional message of peace on Easter Sunday, and I would have on I don't really believe that people can like die and get resurrected and all that, and I mean, if they did, it might be reason to like have a cult movement of some sort, but basing a religion on that seems a little much. So anyway, the Pope denounces the Trump administration. Pete, pretty boy Pete Hegseth, made and actually he called. He asked for like God's blessing in the upcoming war, and went on to say that we will be victorious because God is on our side and all this stuff. And again, the guy's insane. He just said a holy war, and I think, and I wonder what the prediction markets say about whether Kegsmith has had a drinky wakey lately. I find it a little hard to believe he can go through all this without. I don't think he's a Hitler dispensary kind of guy. So inquiring minds want to know, but apparently nobody really cares. So moving right on to our next story. Oh, how about this? Without Charlie Kirk, it's a new battle for the youth vote. Now, what rock this guy slimed out from under, I'll never know, but trust me, it was. You don't say the things he said and advocate the positions he advocated and claim to be a follower of Christ. I mean, those guys are, I don't think, I think Christians would have a much better religion if they just kind of focus on the doing to others and kind of forget the other stuff. But that's just my opinion. And oh, you idiot! I'm gonna keep old. People they say freshen up every now and then. Sometimes you get just a little bit too much, but and that whole thing about how much is enough, and the answer is always just a little bit more. Okay, so Charlie Kirk, and I don't know what kind of cheesy deals he and his wife, or he or his wife, may or may not have been into, but you know, I don't think we need to give an award to the Nazis because they exercised their right to free speech and call for killing of others. Just thought. And you know what? The market's almost closed. Let's take a quick look here. Yeah, I say good day for the NAS. So, and but that directly relates to my next topic, and it is. Wait a minute, and that was about my next topic, and that is that there's a global race for arsenals of AI drones. Now that really doesn't shock anybody, does it? Right now, AI drones are cheaper, and I think they're better. As much as I appreciate man-on-man combat, I think we've kind of reached the point where, you send in your machine, I send in my machine, and the better machine wins. So, about the drones. Now, the really shocking thing, and I mean, this is shocking. Tell me if you can imagine anything like this. Can you imagine the president's son somehow knowing that a giant drone order was going to be placed, and they still had time to invest in the company that was selling them? okay, and making them. Uh, in the old days, it would be called front running when you jumped in and bought a stock just ahead of your clients and, made that little eighth of a point difference. But this is the first family in the United States, and with the Biden crime family and all that stuff, and like Jesus, you can. I only hope that the guys in the Brookings are doing yeoman's work and trying to plot a comeback. It'll clearly take decades. I don't think we'll recover in my lifetime. But there's always hope for the future, which is why we started the DemocracyRadioNetwork.com. We just felt it was really important to give Democrats a place to go and a place to be heard. Frankly, um, and there's no shortage of AM talk radio, and people are free to call in. And of course, they cater to their one point of view. And I've never really seen anything on a major scale that would uh, that would offer a similar advantage to the Democrats. And now with the internet, uh, let's see, I'm worldwide from my undisclosed location in Newport Beach, California. Uh, isn't that just incredible? And I'm fairly live. There's probably maybe 5 seconds latency with my voice, and so much like what the girl told me when I asked if if the tuna salad's better than the egg salad, and when she said, "I know," I'm like, well, in that case, I just think I'll kind of go home and fix something there, right? That was just kind of a basic question I thought I'd ask the woman in the deli, but you know, anyway. Moving right along, give us a call at 949-629-3820 and I don't really care if hopefully you do both. But don't forget to hit that PayPal donate button on the homepage above the live stream link. We, of course, appreciate your any and all contributions. This is a major undertaking. It's a huge undertaking, but we just want Democrats to win. We want we want these guys out in no uncertain terms, you know, and no no mission guys, no messing around until January 20th. We want you out. We want you out. We want your ballroom out. We want your family out. We want everybody out. And I'll only end with, and thank you for your prompt attention to that matter. What a jerk. So anyway, we are cruising our way through the headlines, and this is great. Israel and Hezbollah are talking, and Hezbollah are an Iranian-funded group that are based in Lebanon, and Lebanon's right across the border from Israel, so it's fairly close, and cross-border activities are fairly common. So anyway, but the interesting thing about that is Hezbollah, which means or translates into party of God or party of Allah. The fact that they're talking almost seems kind of weird. But again, I really think that the gut punch of October 7th, when the Palestinians invaded Israel and killed, 1,300, kidnapped a couple hundred, I think that they poked a civilization that had been poked once before and almost died from it, and they were not going to let it happen again. And if you're going to do this, heaven and hell help you. And and I know tons of civilians got killed in Israel, and my heart genuinely goes out. But you can't put a child or school on top of a missile launching site and expect that it not be hit. So I do think that a large share of the responsibility is with the and I'm going to call them their freedom fighters. I'm not going to exactly call them terrorists. I think that's maybe more of a value judgment that I want to make. Uh, but what's the old thing? One man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. So, but and like I said, I really did think about this, and Israel's clearly been not the best neighbor in the world. There's nobody's going to dispute that. But there are some lines, and you may not know that the line even exists, but there are some lines that when you cross them, all bets are off as to the response. And they did that. Israel is, was born from the Holocaust. Jews had never really had a homeland and no real place to go, unlike everybody else in the world. And if the world is proceeding along a Judeo-Christian perspective, then you would have to respect the Word of God as being as good as a deed, right? And if God tells the truth, as it's written down, all that, then the Jews should have title. To how much? Well, whatever they can hold on to. That's just, you can't have, it's hard to be friends with neighbors that want to, slit your throat or, rape your wife or, bake your baby in the oven. I fully understand I may not feel it directly, but I can somewhat understand the difficulties the Palestinians have been living under. But, again, you've got to, at some point, you got to take responsibility for this. And Arafat was not a particularly helpful guy. Arafat wanted two things, this is my best recollection. He wanted money and he wanted to be on the front page. He didn't. So, when you have those kind of priorities, you might get your money and you might wind up on the front page, but it may not be the best light possible. So, and as we kind of move on, I swear you can't make this stuff up. And actually, I was kind of jumping ahead, but we'll work our way through this methodically and have this former Pence aide, what was her name, Olivia Troy or something like that, enters the race as a Democrat in Virginia, even though the seat's not created yet. I guess it's part of that whole redistricting push. Now, that's something else that's amazing in American politics. The President of the United States getting involved on a county level in the election in order to overturn it. There's no honor among thieves, and there's certainly none here. So, anyway, moving right along. Let's see. How about listen. But anyway, let's talk about this Olivia Troy woman. She spoke at the 2024 Democratic Convention. Now, that was Mike Pence's aides got invited to speak at the 2024 Democratic Convention. And that's, she didn't just so happen to be in the neighborhood and they asked her to drop in. She's, a traditional Republican who, has just been appalled by what she saw and she couldn't, she wanted to do something. This is her way. I'm sure we'll be glad to have her on. We'd love to, get a little exposure for you. because this is another thing that's rarely dwelled upon. But all the witnesses from the congressional committee, and I think just in general, have all been Republicans. These aren't, these aren't Democrats running like I don't know what to see who's the first one in charge. Yeah, it's just it ain't true. And if something's not true, then that's misinformation, giving information that's wrong. Uh, but uh, but anyway, the whole part about those decision things is, Trump is, he's incapable of making a decision that benefits others. He just can't do it. Well, he's never done it before. And clearly, old dog, ain't learning new tricks other than, you've got to admit, the presidency has given him a whole new area or areas to market and exploit. It's, I thought it would be hard to top the Trump Bibles. But then you had the Trump, Gibson Les Paul. And then what else did you have? I'm sure you got watches and phones and cards. And that's just criminal. Lock him up is not just a suggestion anymore. Lock him up is fair. So anyway, I do kind of like that lock him up thing. Just goes both ways. Used to be this organization called the Jewish Defense League, and their idea of fighting anti-Semitism was to beat the living daylights out of these guys who kill them and just dispose of them and not take any racism stuff in New York. And the JDL was, I think, founded in 1968 by a rabbi, Meir Kahane. And it's interesting. I never hear about rabbis being portrayed as like the princes of peace, like you hear in the the Catholic offices or whatever they are. So just cheer out my fish eating buddies. Friday will be here for you know it. And this is Watch Me Wednesday. I'm your host, Abby Kaufman. Inviting you to call in at 949-629-3820 and let us know what you think let us know what's going on in your world. Like I said, you know how they used to say, like, 20 is the new 10 or whatever it was? Well, I think that, like, $125 is the new $100 fill-up. I think it's gone up about that much. And, I've got an 06 3-liter V6 Ford. I need gasoline. And my brother raised an interesting point. He asked me, at what point would you quit driving? I'm like, well, gosh, I don't, maybe $10 a gallon. And which is kind of coincidental because I think in the UK, I think it's right at $9 a gallon, maybe a little more. But, those guys have super buses and mass transit, and we suck. Yeah, we really do. I guess if someone wanted to go like cross country on Amtrak, not only would it take forever, but it just, it would just be a drag to be on that thing. I certainly wouldn't want to spend any, like time on a boat for that very reason. But, the moral of the story is it takes an awfully big boat to make an awfully small apartment. And that is so, so true. There's a Hinkley 40 that's a really nice big old day sailor that would just be perfect for around here. And just a reminder that if you keep donating at our live stream, we would be grateful to help us get on the way. God knows we deserve a Harbor 20 at least, a Swan 65 at most. Now I think a Swan 65 with electric winches and halyards and a roller rolling handsaw, some sort of a stowaway main that you use by yourself. Because even with two people, it's still a lot of boat, a lot of sail area. So you're getting close to paid crew at that point. Uh, and that's gonna be a tough thing to do for everybody. I mean, the crew certainly can't talk about anything they see, and the boat owners are just doing everything they can do. Oh, how about that? We just got another follower. Let's see who we have to thank with that. Let's see here if we can kind of navigate away just briefly to sign into the old Insta. We'll leave those notifications off. Oh, we got two notifications. And the first is that Lana? I guess Lana started to follow me. And somebody else agreeing with my comment or comments. So, well, we appreciate Lana following us. If you're up to it, tune in and wake the kids and phone the neighbors and get them up and whatever it is kids do these days. That is when the kids are all hopped up on goofballs because they're kids and they probably like to get all hopped up on the goofballs. Be that as it may. Let's see. Oh, now how about this? Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, formerly hedge fund guy George Soros, who's probably a good employer. Bessent questions climate change cause and the financial toll. So you have the Secretary of the Treasury saying, number one, there's no climate change, period. It's just not here. And because there's no climate change, period, then you are misstating the financial cost of that alleged non-existent financial toll. So, I mean, I really hope we make it through this. Making it to the midterms isn't necessarily a guarantee. By my count, there's May, June, July, August, September, and October. 6 months. That's a political eternity. And it's just got to stop. So let's not be lazy. Let's show up to those individual marches or protests every Saturday. Orban lost in Hungary. JD went over to endorse the guy, and JD comes back with a big L on his forehead. And it's not for lucky either. So even though JD is an incredibly lucky guy, isn't he? I mean, he's another weasel. I mean, haven't we seen him do things? I mean, didn't he pretty much throw his wife under the bus a few times because she was Indian, he's Catholic? And by the way, that's like really bad when they, subdivided the Indian continent. The Muslims got some, and the Arabs got some. Oh no, what the Muslims got Pakistan, and the Buddhists got India. And I've been to a few Buddhist places, and they're pretty peaceful and all that, and it's almost downright hypnotic. And when you go and see parishioners, whatever they call them, seeming to bow down to these ceramic figures, that's not a bowing down in a godly way. What it means is that you're showing reverence toward a person. In the Gurdwara, uh, let's see. Uh, let's just kind of. Okay. Anyway, and we've got the Justice Department claiming that Trump is as pure as the driven snow, and yeah, if anybody has a better government for sale than we do, please call. Let me know. Uh, the Treasury Secretary, and he's probably worth a few pennies. Is it starting to fall the focus for you now, folks? Can you really see what's happening? And it's clearly repulsive, and we just we wish we didn't have to deal with it either. But it's just there's no other word for it. It's just a cancer, and those things, you know, usually don't work out well. And if you do get to live, you probably won't be the same for the rest of your life. So, which is why when somebody's telling me how going in the sauna is supposed to prolong your life, they just says, "Geez, Ab, you'll be 100." I'm like, well, yeah, don't really, that last decade, whatever it is, it's usually like really bad. So as bad as like 60 to 70 was, I've got this feeling 70 to 80 is going to be like, hugely bad. And I don't think we have to worry about 90 to 100. I don't know if any relative that's ever gotten that old. We usually have enough genetic defects to take us out at some reasonable point in time. Yeah, we would. And there's an old butcher guy. What was his name? Benjamin. I used to call him Benjamin. And Benjamin had a profound way of looking at life and death and how long was too long to live. And Benjamin's position was that when he couldn't wipe his own behind anymore, it was time to go. Now, I think I might have chosen a different measuring stick, but you got to appreciate what they thought behind the matter. We won't even go to a bathroom humor with that stuff. That's enough for another show. People are starting to notice that the campaign that was won that took Orban down in Hungary, and I think the guy's name is Peter Magyar, and I never knew what those Magyars were. History, if anybody knows, drop us a note. But anyway, I think he campaigned on two things: economics and corruption. And he showed how corruption was costing the economy. And make long story even longer, Orban lost. Now, I don't know how much more, if any, sophisticated his voters are than ours over here, but Orban did get to leave the stage with a big red L on his forehead, or whatever, however you say loser where they are, but that's so much for that. So let's keep cruising here. Let's go. Of course, there were a couple of editorials that were good. I think Brett Stevens wrote about how to end the war in 4 steps, and there were simple ones like open Hormuz, stand up for the killed civilians, the economy's going down the tubes, and I mean, and that they can either have that the Iranians can either have a decent economy or nukes, but they can't have both. And, at least at that point, you know exactly where you stand. I would hope they would take the economics route just because their people aren't being served well, having to become involuntary martyrs. It's one thing to give your life up if you kind of know you're doing it. It's another thing if you give your life up because the imam declared that a missile launcher be built under your apartment. Just just the thought that they might want to. I mean, if human shields weren't valuable, people wouldn't use them. But of course, that's you know really does devalue human life severely at that point, and it just ain't cool at that point. And let's see, as we're heading to the end of our news day, and as we approach the 1:15 time slot, it's Abby Kaufman, your allegedly political radio host, coming to you live and in color from Newport Beach, California. Give us a call at 949-629-3820 and let us know what's going on in the world. Oh, and of course, the other noticeable editorial was from somebody on Pope Leo's side of the argument, and the headline was something like uh, "The Pope isn't meddling in America's politics." And no, I mean it's his job. It's what he does. It's not like he's got a few extra much skill and thought he'd pop over. So and why? Please God, tell me why would anybody argue with the Pope? I mean, I can see if you don't agree with him. I can see all that stuff. In which case, you agree to talk more in the near future, right? I mean, just it's just a basic confidence comes so hard to the Trump administration that you just don't get a chance to see it. Did I just say that? There's such an incompetence problem with the Trump administration that it's kind of like the person that smells so bad they don't know. Oh, that sucks so badly they don't realize how bad they suck. Well, I'm here to tell you that I think I kind of have a little appreciation for that. So let's see. Let's try the old Zoiper and see how that was. Now why? There we go. Let's see. And we are Abby Kaufman coming to you live in color from our secret location in Newport Beach. Sorry, guys, Newport Beach, California, and we need let's see if this works. Let's see if we can get a call in here. How about that? We actually got a call, if you can believe. But we also have a message here. Let's see what happened. They have Rose started following me. Let's see what the old Rose has to say anything. I mean, maybe we'll just kind of hit the old Instagram on the laptop here and see where we are. Is that? Let's make sure that's her. That is her. Huh. Lana and Slava. Lana is a barista at Starbucks Fashion Island. And her husband, Slava, is a video genius. But maybe let's get back to the current thought and to our live stream here. So the Pope isn't meddling. No, I think kind of the Pope's job is like to promote, I don't know, Christian things, like maybe peace. I'm not, I mean, I kind of conceptually get the whole love your brother thing, but, you know, you do those things. I'd find it much easier to love your sister than my brother, but that's besides the point. So the Pope, strangely enough, takes a moral and ethical position on war. And in this case, the moral and ethical position on war that the Pope took was the Christian view. Okay. And, you got to remember, the Catholics ain't like the Baptists. The Catholics go back, a couple thousand years, and they have an organization and a structure. And, it's kind of like the Doomsday Book in 832 in England. The mere fact that your family was in the Doomsday Book means that there's this unbroken chain that you are established, and more than likely you contributed to the evolution of mankind in some way. And I'd like to kind of take a second and tell you that my friend's uncle had this thought that people don't necessarily evolve; they just kind of develop further along their course. The key distinction being evolution implies some improvement or a positive trajectory, should we say? Because if you got a negative trajectory, you just kind of bury in the ground. So another slightly brilliant observation I thought we'd share with you. Oops. But the most pressing observation will come when it's time to go to the old little broadcaster's room. And while that might be, people always kind of call it the call of nature. Well, to my way of thinking, it's like now I call my kidneys, my bladder, my something. I mean, I usually kind of know, why I got to pee. So we, if you got to pee, let's try to leave that kind of humor behind. Other than I do a quick pee story. I, grew up sailing small boats in Charleston Harbor, and as you get older and drink a few beers, you of course inevitably need to pee. And in the old days, you just hang off the back sail, jump in the harbor and pee, and it's no big deal. It gets flushed out a couple times a day with tides. But things get a little more crowded, and it's not really acceptable to pee off the boat anymore. And you always pee off the boat. You know why? Because you never pee on the boat. And if you do pee on the boat, you got to clean up the pee on the boat. So usually most people get it. So the question is, what do you do? And God bless my old sailing buddy, Squeaky James. He was the first one to tell me, before I came to the boat, be sure and get a 6-pack of Gatorade, empty them, and bring the bottles on board. And I'm like, oh, that's only one reason Bill James would want, half a dozen empty Gatorade bottles. And of course, he knew what he was talking about. So at the very least, we had I guess you'd call that an emergency head. And it's funny, on all these boats, Mr. James is really good about, buying squeaky boats and stuff. And, but, every now and then you have to take Mr. James sailing. And of course, boats were so small, but, we never had one with a head on it. And so, Squeaky's dad gave him, God knows what it took to get a small head installed in a J-24 cabin, so his mother, could drink and pee on the boat. So anyway, just a healthy note to remember that Gatorade bottles do have their uses. And again, this is your host, Abby Kaufman, coming to you live and in color from Newport Beach, California. Give us a call and check in at 949-629-3820. And if you're so inclined, hit that donate whatever it is. Abby can stand a beer today. So, and the truth of it is, Abby deserves a beer, and I know you'd love to buy one if you ever got the chance. So, Let's keep those cards and letters and phone calls coming because we are here at the Democracy Radio Network.com, coming to you live in color from Newport Beach, California. Oh man, and let's see what time we got here. It's almost 1:30. We're about an hour and a half into the broadcast, and we're glad to see that we're doing okay. No major mistakes. The sound is fine. The picture's fine. Let's see, the old headphones are fine. And the truth of the matter is, this thing is just, once you get it set up. Oh, hang on. Oh. Sorry about that head stretch. The truth of it is, once you get these things set up, they kind of stay. So I've gone from spending a bit of time, and there was only that the mic was hiding somewhere in the OBS software download, and eventually we figured it out. But so I said it kind of stays where it is, and could not be a whole lot happier. But why don't we just kind of fill the screen with all normie here, and let's see. We are your host, Abby Kaufman, coming to you live in the color from Newport Beach, California. And I don't know if any of you have ever had the chance to come visit here or sail on the harbor, but it's pretty nice. Yeah, Newport's is really nice. How about, did I just say Newport was nice? Apparently I did. Somebody's happy to hear that. And, but there's always, there's always being caught in the height of passion. And did I say the heart of passion? I thought I did. So that would be the heart beating fast and the in the reproductive area of today's broadcast. And we do like you when when things are reproduced in some way. So we probably don't want to stray too far down that line. We had of course, we stopped at Sprouts and grabbed a sandwich to eat before we came on the air. And at Sprouts, my default will be a veggie sandwich. I turned vegetarian about 10 years ago, and I only turned vegetarian because I couldn't afford to eat meat. So, and we've tried to make the best of it since. And you eliminate the chicken and beef burritos and all that. And, I still eat seafood though, but you eliminate the beef and chicken burritos, and then you kind of transition into the bean and cheese burrito at Del Taco. By the way, Del Taco is really far better, far superior to Del Taco, in my opinion. But take a step further, at Del Taco, you can get a bean and cheese burrito, and it's not. I had to ask somebody, is that like a cold Ito, a burrito? But anyway, you get a bean and cheese burrito. Make sure it's hot now. I don't want those cold burritos. This is the deal here. Number one, I think it's 50 cents more or so. And it's sour cream, maybe. And then for the $1 more addition on that, you get some sort of queso special sauce, God only knows, and fries that came all the way from France. So your burrito, plain old bean and cheese burrito now becomes a bean and cheese burrito with sour cream, French fries, and queso sauce. And it's like $4 or so. And I'm going to tell you, there's absolutely no difference between street quality Mexican food and or restaurant quality Mexican food and street quality Mexican food. It all tastes the same, whether it's in a gourmet or not. So that kind of combines to make Del Taco my my go-to place for that kind of stuff. And yeah, we do have a few other go-tos. We tend to stumble into was it the Pizza de Oro? I was going to say the Golden Pizza, but it's Pizza de Oro on Harbor Boulevard in Costa Mesa, California. And it's funny, I don't know how or why I started going there. Uh, well, I or how I found a real. I guess I was craving something Italian, and it's the older place in Costa Mesa, and, red booths and red and white tablecloths and all that. And just a good old Italian place. They have two of them, one in Costa Mesa, one in Huntington Beach. But they usually have a good special several times a week. Wednesday is all you can eat spaghetti for like $8 and change. Friday is eggplant and chicken parmesan day, like $14. Sunday is uh, what lasagna night. I think maybe all you can eat lasagna with a little spaghetti and a salad. Because I think Monday night is just lasagna night, and so like I don't know, $13 or so. But anyway, it's like really good. They have spinach lasagna that I always go for, a little marinara sauce, and it's kind of all old Ab needs to be happy these days. And what else is going on here? I don't. Let's see. Must be nothing new in the Instas. But what would the statement from you gotta love Instagram. Or actually just, social media is kind of amazing though. The way everything's just like now. And holy mackerel, that Nas really laid it on today. 375. Holy mother of you know who. But stocks will see whatever trajectory they're on until Trump decides to say something, whether it's true or not. Why? Well, it's like the Wayans brothers and was it the Homeboy Shopping Network? And all they wanted to get was more money, more money, more money, which was even funnier when my mother started to do it. But you, you really don't want to. I'm sure you don't really want to see that one. Uh, so let's just take a minute and see where just National Fund. I wish we could contribute to everybody, and we'll do the best we can. So let's see, shipping method standard, view my order. Yeah, so we went into a little more dead here. We saw a handmade OM for $900 for the case, and that's the case is $100. The pickup's another 100. So it was really hard to turn down, especially because we do really like that spruce and mahogany. It's just such an honest combination of woods. Yeah, rosewood always kind of colors and gets a little boomy sometimes, but you really don't have that problem with smaller body guitars, and especially spruce and mahogany. So while I do wish I could tell us more about where the old order is, we'll kind of keep looking around the old net. We see something worth chatting about. Let's see here in Newport, Catalina Island's maybe like 27 miles offshore. And, when it's clear, it's like you can reach out and touch Catalina. And I've never been there because I always hate being on a boat, not like being involved in the operation. You always kind of wonder. I've heard that like airline pilots that some of them drink, and I think I remember something about an Italian ship captain who was trying to wave to some friends in Italy and put the cruise ship on the hard. Yeah, that's a lot hard to finesse a cruise ship off off sandbar. It's tough enough with a decent sized sailboat, but one of those things you'll never move it. I mean, how many horsepower and how many inches at a time before a thing just breaks apart. Um, and Walt Disney was another guy who was clearly not a saint, but you had to let him. Yeah, you kind of had to let him have its way because he just had money and would bulldoze you. And ladies and gentlemen, that is not what the U.S. is about. Matter of fact, if you really wonders what the U.S. is about, take a few minutes and and even if you have to like ask uh, an AI, Google, what does this mean? Uh, what does equal rights mean? What is this? Just terms used in the Constitution. Uh, the better informed citizenry we have, the better off everybody will be. I don't know about you, but I really don't want a permanent subclass of un or undereducated, healthcare denied people like waiting on me at the restaurant. So I just thought I'd throw that out there for you. And let's see here. Would you like to hear a little something today? I don't know what it would be. We would probably do it just to go pee for a second. So let's. Oh yeah, that's exactly what we could do. Uh, how about an evening with Nicola? Uh, this is pretty good. Let's sketch some. Yeah, dude. The squeeze is goodbye, girl. Take it away, guys. I didn't catch. You look like dog special. Like I knew, I understand. Sunshine on the lino. Move me to a hotel, a room on second floor, and the numbers on the door. I hardly know you. Sunlight on the line. That's not great writing. It's gone. Goodbye, girl. Goodbye, girl. Goodbye, girl. It doesn't bother me. Say hi to your goodbye, girl. Sunlight on the line, oh, he's gone. Goodbye, girl. Goodbye, girl. Goodbye, girl. Girl. Goodbye, girl. Goodbye, girl. Oh, how about that? Let's go to. Oh, and tell you what, while we're here, it's for her medical. She passed. It's a miracle. Drinks for everyone. That she's saying, get your gun. Play the love song has just begun. She's gone electric and he wipe that smile. Expected. I'm not trigger, Annie. Get your gun. Don't shoot that singer, Annie. Number one. Number one. To the other one. What's that she saying, Annie? Get your gun. What's that she saying? Love song has to be sung. She's gone electric, Annie. Wipe that smile. Unexpected. Oh, she don't the trigger, Annie. You with your gun. No shoot that singer. Love song number one. With your gun. Get your gun. She's gone electric, Annie. What that smile? Unexpected. No, shoot, Annie. Wipe your gun. Oh, shoot that singer, Annie. Man, get a little squeeze action, another nail in my heart. Down, 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 down. And ladies and gentlemen, that was Squeeze doing another nail in my heart. And while we're in the mood, how about one more squeeze before we get back to the daily grind? And how about In Quintessence? So, boys, well, I think you should play it. Quintessence, in quintessence, in quintessence, in quintessence, in quintessence, in quintessence. In quintessence, in quintessence, quintessence. You have to think that not you would have to give credit to Glenn Tilbrook. I mean, the guy's guitar playing is really awesome. Good voice. He's the perfect compliment to Elvis, and Squeeze was always kind of special. Even you know Squeeze 2.0 with Paul Carrick, and I think most people prefer Jules Holland's visual authenticity and excitement. But Jules didn't was the opinion that not enough of his songs were on the album, and that maybe things weren't as equitable as he would like them to be, and I'm sure that's true to some degree because in that sort of a creative environment, the only validation you get is having your music played and heard. And if it doesn't make the album, then it ain't gonna get heard to any large degree. So it's always good when people make room for other band members to make a little contribution, even though if their contribution sucks and detracts from the overall record. I think we ought to reconsider the release. Or you know what? That's what we ought to start. Instead of having like an album release party, we ought to have an album recall party because God knows how many of them flop. And when you're going good, you really don't need the party. But when things are kind of bad, party's really nice. So another example of how things I think are just slightly inverted in the world today. And let's see. The was it that Nas added 375 or so? I mean, that's a huge move. And I think Dow was like 70 or so, which is kind of flat. The S&P's picked up a few, but man, so is the old Nas. But moving on to something distinctly different. We've been trying to join our fellow Democrats and ask if they'd like to come on and interview. And I wish I could guarantee them a viewership or listenership of the thousands, but we are just starting. We've just launched. We're looking forward to expanding throughout the country. But as of right now, it is me in Newport Beach, California, from noon to 4 Pacific time. I am your host, Abby Kaufman, host of the Abby Kaufman Show. And call in at 949-629-3820 and let us know what's going on in your world today. Have you had Philo gas? Have you, what's going on? Did you spend $20 for lunch at McDonald's? I do think that's, fast food was meant to be like a cheap alternative. It wasn't meant to be an expensive staple. They kind of, I would think they probably call it junk food for a reason. I'm not really sure what the nutritional value is of a of like a Big Mac or something. And for that matter, I don't know what the nutritional value of a Carl's Jr. Red Hook beer battered fish sandwich, but see that I'm inclined to check out just as a something else to throw into the fine dining mix that I seem to patronize these days. Let's say tonight's the Costa Mesa Democrats from 6 to 8, so dinner will be. Let's just hope we get a little dinner out of this deal. And you know what? That's I could just drive through Carl's Jr. to get one of those red hook beer battered things, and take it to the Costa Mesa Democrats just in case there's not much to eat. It's a shame it'll be like a block and a half from Alamito, where I do love my shrimp tacos, but lately it seems like whenever I have shrimp taco, I have a beer or two first, and my $5 or $6 dinner becomes $20. So, And but you can help with that, ladies and gentlemen, by making a donation. Give us a call, 949 629 3820. Visit our website, democracyradionetwork.com, and you'll see the donate PayPal button at the top of the page. And I should be deeply appreciated. So, moving right along, uh, again, it is just amazing to me that when things aren't aren't to his liking, Trump is able to create some scenario or some assertion that changes the equation. And I think about the kindest thing you could ever say is that he's an evil genius, but I think that's giving him too much credit again. You know, people, I think it was maybe in Micah, whatever that was, I don't even know, that's New Testament, whatever it is. And something about what does God require of me? And he says something like, God requires me to be just, show mercy, and walk humbly. And I thought, that's not a bad place to start at all. I said, first one, Tam, the least religious God on the face of the earth. But I do think that the Bible provides some useful starting point, a good deal of the time, where it ends up and where God only knows. But, it always helps to start at the beginning. Not unlike Alice in Wonderland, when who's the White Rabbit's on the witness stand, and he says the judge, but I don't know what to do. And judge says something like, well, start at the beginning, go until the end, and then stop. Do you want to hear that again? Start at the beginning, go to the end, and then stop. So, a life principle distilled into 4 words. And, I'm not going to preach resiliency or any of that stuff here to you, but I'm going to suggest that life is a little better without it. I'm with it. And go on to suggest that if you act like a mat, thank you, Aunt Rachel, if you act like a mat, people will walk on you. And you can't have people walk on you, which means you can't act like a doormat. And as we come up on the 2 o'clock hour, we're about midway through our Wednesday broadcast, and we're glad to have you with you on the DemocracyRadioNetwork.com. I am your host, Abby Kaufman, and inviting you to call in at 949-629-3820 and share your thoughts on the current state of your city, your town, your state, and your country. And if you want to give us a thought or two about the world in general, feel free to just slip that in there. I always thought it was nice when Democrats would have a forum to compare or to how can I put this, to parallel the conservative talk station. They have enjoyed an advantage for years, and I know there's some one in America now or somebody that was going to challenge them, and just didn't work out. But my thought here is that if there was ever a time for pro-democratic, anti-Trump, anti-MAGA, anti-Republican kind of politics, this is it. People can't. You just can't keep fooling people, and the gig is the jig, the rig, whatever it is up. Best thing you can do would be go out on mental instability and live like a king. But you can rest assured that ain't in the deck. So let's kind of flash over and see what we're getting. Oh, this is great. Inside, Pakistan's torn around with Trump. The only real question with Trump is as the when and the how he's going to screw you. You may not know when, and you may not know how, but you can pretty well rest assured that Trump is going to screw you, and it's not like he's going to screw you and bring the anal lube. He's just going to screw you. And then what happens after that? Does the phrase "like a piece of toilet paper" ring a bell? I thought it might ring an unpleasant bell, but hold on, let's take a little sip from the DemocracyRadioNetwork.com mug, complete with the DemocracyRadioNetwork.com sticker. Who we are, shout louder, DemocracyRadioNetwork.com, and you talk and we listen. Because nobody, believe me, I would much rather hear you talk and tell me what's going on in your world. I don't know if we get any George Noory fans out there listening in, but if you do, we'd like to say hello to Cornelius in Louisiana. What parish is he in? I forgot. But if I'm not mistaken, it's somewhere near Breaux Bridge. But no, it's not like Louisiana's a big of a state anyway. But did you know that the state of Louisiana is the only jurisdiction in the United States that still follows the old French Napoleonic Code? So, and the wild thing is, when you go to law school, you learn a system of laws, and you can pretty much plug different countries in and out. So you get a fine education at Tulane, and matter of fact, a woman I really respected went there, and just hope all's well. But Breaux Bridge, Louisiana is interesting because it is home, the home. So if you have a lot of these, it is the home for the Crawfish Festival. And I had the privilege of going down to Breaux Bridge, Louisiana with a friend from school in Jackson, Mississippi, a guy named Dennis Brown. And Dennis Brown, I think he was like the third or fourth, whatever it was. I think his dad, they were like farmers and oil man, whatever. They always, Dennis always had nice stuff, was a nice guy. And so anyway, so we go to Breaux Bridge, Louisiana, and there's folks there and all that. And there's literally one light in the town, and there's a Dynamite restaurant there. So we go have dinner, and the Cajun band is just roaring, and they have a telephone booth. So I go into the telephone booth, and I forgot I called whoever it was I was dating at the time, and just held the phone outside the booth so you hear the Zydeco band. But anyway, the big deal behind the Crawfish Festival is, of course, the crawfish. And my best recollection is it's bite the head and suck the tail, because otherwise you would suck the head and bite the tail, which sounds kind of gross. So I'm pretty sure you bite the head and suck the tail as well. A few adult beverages, those places, which was surprised living down outside of me. Who knew that a party in Louisiana would have alcohol? Live and learn, I always say. And so yes, that was my experience. The Breaux Bridge Crawfish Festival. Those were the days, weren't they? But moving right along to the as things exist today, as far, but I found the best thing we can hope for is that not a big screw up took place on any particular day, because with Trump's comfort of making poor, uninformed decisions based on his gut. It's hard to argue with somebody who's like right in their gut and their heart or whatever. I mean, I can show you where you're wrong with facts and evidence, but if you want more than that, I think you're. And I know this will be a shock, but I think you just might be delusional. These guys are just insane. They really are. Let's see, who's this going? This is genius. I know there are bright people wherever you go, but there's a countercurrent that inhibits that. And when growth is inhibited, stagnation increases. And you wonder if in places like rural Missouri, I mean, I can't, I don't know how really informed and how intelligent any given decision would be. We don't have geniuses in every street corner in California, but we've got a few, and I mean that's insane. And let's see, Democrats filed 5 impeachment articles against Hegseth, or Kegseth. So, uh, that's just it's hard to be kind to a competency when it's deliberately inflicted on you. And this is oh, I did. Did you guys see this headline? The Iran embassy in Tajikistan posted AI video of Jesus punching Trump in the face. Now, that would just be uh, a little too funny to not at least kind of watch and see what it's like. So let's see the AI video of Jesus punching Trump in the face, which is really, again, it's kind of sacrilegious because Jesus was nonviolent, and the odds of him punching somebody in the face are slim and atoms. And oh, you worthless piece of shit, you. Maybe we'll let's see, maybe we can do it through YouTube. How about Jesus punch Trump? Iran embassy, here it is. Okay, gotta. I'm gonna tell you, that was a little too bloodlusty, bloodthirst. I didn't think that was particularly funny, but maybe it's just me. And what do we have? Let's see what else was going on. The Iranian embassy in Tajikistan. And I don't know if you guys see this stuff, but Stan means land out, so it's like land of the Pax and whoever it is, land of the Tajiks in Tajikistan. And how about this very, very, very profound statement? And of course, whenever I think of profound statements, Tommy Tuberville's the first one that jumps to mind. And the headline with this is Tuberville says GOP ain't done anything in the majority. Now, aside from trying to figure out what that exactly means, so he's saying his guys suck. Well, the problem is you suck and you make people suck at your level. So I do find it a little hard to be kind to you, but that's just me. And let's see, King Charles is taken aback by the Pope's comments. Now, let's Let's see. Mike Johnson. No, isn't he? One he, excuse me, the Jesus follower that took away people's health care and their food with the SNAP benefits, and this got shot. You know, it's either stupidity or incompetence. Either way, it's not good news. So when Mike Johnson is taken back, it's not like he's a scholar, and it's probably not even true. He probably just issued a statement through a spokesperson that I am taken back by. Well, bite me, pal. You've had your time. You sucked the whole way, and it's time you. What did they say? Vacated the premises. So and what's that thing doing? The door hitching behind on the way out. Well, I wouldn't care if it did hit behind on the way out as long as he's on the way out. Uh, it's just sad beyond words, but the good news is we'll try and keep things a little light and play a little music. Let's see if we can't find something you might like. And how about maybe a little Joe Jackson? We're getting Joe Jackson fans out there. And I think his first album was I'm the Man. And, there's a reason that most bands, most bands, by the time they get signed, they've probably got enough stuff recorded for, I don't know, anywhere between 3 and 5 good albums. So pay attention to those debut albums. Usually they're really good. There's an off chance it'll kind of fall short, but and then the second one usually kills. So let's how about a little bit of Joe Jackson on the Man, starting with on your radio. Oh, see me, tell me, you can't get near me. You can only hope to hear me on your radio, on your radio. Gonna hear me on the radio, radio. You gotta hear me on the radio, and hear me on the radio. You gotta hear me on the radio. To the ground. Can you imagine? I don't care. You pushing me around? I can't do that. I see you. Okay, I'll tell you. You can only hope to hear me on the radio, radio. You gotta hear me on the radio, radio. You gotta hear me on the radio. You gotta hear me on the radio. You gotta hear me on the radio. Now, How about a little kind of cute? Or on Joe Jackson's album on demand. Yeah, I feel humble. You might go for myself again. Make me trip and stumble. Well, to myself again. That's all I want to do. Just remember, just like last time. I'm here with you, back at my table for two, and you're kind of cute, baby. Kind of cute, baby. I'd sit right down. You know, competition when you're just competition around. Yeah, window. I'm going stairs again. Or stone up. Right. Let's move your way again. Just like last night. Oh, no, that's right. I'm gonna be on the drink feet and plenty of girl. I like you. Kinda cute, baby. You kinda cute, baby. You gotta sit right down. Just competition, just kind of kidding around. Just kind of kidding around. Play it, Joe. All I got to do that I'm here with my drink and a table for two and you're kind of cute, baby. Gotta sit right down. No competition when you're just kind of cutting around. Just kind of cutting around. Kind of cute, baby. You kind of cute, baby. You kind of cute, baby. You kind of cute, baby. No competition when you're just kind of cutting around. Just kind of cutting around. You know, cutting around. Just kind of cutting around. You know, Joe Jackson will get enough credit here. But did you know that it was different for girls? I didn't know that. No, no. What the hell is wrong with you tonight? I can't seem to say or do the right things. Want to be wrong or be right. You want the same things. She said, I'm not believe it. You can possibly mean it, don't we? I want the same thing, don't we? Who said anything about love? Don't have love, you said. Don't know that it's different for girls. Baby, no, 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 no. Don't you know that it's different for girls? You're all the same. You're all the same. Always feel me yourself. Take a little time and find the right girl. And up on the shelf, but it's you and the world. She's known a lot of things that you know. Um, she said anything, something, anything. But who said you got to get love? You don't have love, she said. Don't you know that it's different for girls? Don't have love, she said. Don't you know that it's different for girls? You're all the same. You're all the same. You're all the same. One thing about love, don't have love, she said. Don't you know that it's different for girls? She said, no, 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 no. Don't you know that it's different for girls? No, no, so she said. Don't you know that it's different for girls? That it's different for girls. We're all the same. And this is why he's called On the Man is the title song, title track, On the Man, Joe Jackson. Pretty soon now. Well, you know I'm gone, man. I ain't come back. It's a surefire guess. I'll speak to the masses in the media. Goodbye. Well, can't you see the smile? I'm the man. I'm the man. I'm the man. I'm the man. Yo, yo. That was one of my good ones. No, it's good, clean, fun. I almost made them respectable. Can't you see me smile? I'm the man. 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 Everybody grooving out here. Can't you see me smile? I'm the man. 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 And ladies and gentlemen, Joe Jackson is the man. And let's just kind of leave that one side for a second and let's see back to the political nature of things and Mike Johnson criticizing the Pope. You know, I just think that's just, you guys are insane. Absolutely insane. And there's just no reason to believe that kind of stuff. But what do I know? In 1935, Oscar Schmidt, $1,000. Who in the world? Sorry guys, just a little shock here. A POS guitar from the Depression is $1,000. That seemed a little extravagant to me, but I think we're learning that most things that we thought necessities are like extravagance. Growing up, it was inconceivable that any family that wanted a dog can get one. They might go to the pound and adopt a dog, but you could generally afford the vet visits, and you could feed them, take care of the dog, and all that. But it's changed. Vet visits aren't $5 or $10 anymore. They're as expensive as as human health care. And some of them clearly deserve better than human health care. But the point being that another thing that was taken for granted has been pushed out of reach. And, it was funny. Originally, I guess, would be like, houses and cars that got pushed way out of reach. But as the rising tide lifts all boats, it kind of helps if you have a boat in the first place. Otherwise, you just get further and further underwater. And we know it usually happens with that. And now let's see if we have any incoming emails to check from. And all these pages are different, so you never know how or where the refresh button is. Excuse me, but luckily, as we approach the 2:30 mark at the DemocracyRadioNetwork.com site, this is Abby Kaufman, your host of the Abby Kaufman Show. And give us a call, let us know what's going on, 949-629-3820, and share your thoughts, because it's not what I say that counts, it's what you say. And we try to give everybody a reasonable platform to express themselves. We try not to shut down too many points of view, and the truth matters. Every now and then some really vindictive person will get through, and again, that's just when you gotta hang out, because I'm not here to hear abuse against me or my party. So we'll give you a fair hearing. There's no doubt about it. And but if you get like really personal or really profane or really aggressive, we don't have any choice but to dump you. And I don't think George Norrie has much of a problem like that. Let's see, he's got his steady group of callers. So, but I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna step away for a few minutes because I have to be right back. Nature calls leave message in comments on while. How's she spelled way right? And let's get that up there too. Is that right? Yes, how about that? And we'll show that one. And how about if we just leave that right there for a second? Yeah, it was. All right. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry to bother you, but when nature calls, you never know how long the conversation is going to be. But moving right along, we are here for the final 1 hour and 17 minutes until the magic hour of 4 o'clock or close. And I'm reminded that, of the importance of having a really high quality bed and mattress. Uh, you know, people's backs these days can give them all kind of problems, and so much of it could be eliminated with the right mattress. And who are we talking to or listening to? Oh, I know. It was. How about that? We broke the bell. It was Gary and Shannon on KFI this morning. And Shannon mentioned the therapeutic value of the sauna. And I hurt my back in September. And just, that I don't want to have any steroid injections. I don't, I just don't think that's healthy in the long term or the short term. The side effects may not hit for years. And by that time, everybody just kind of has gone on and, you've regressed. So, with that in mind, I've had a fair share of abdominal major surgeries in the last couple of years. And, it's my opinion that at some point your luck runs out and something that was injured previously got a little more injured further down the line. And, it's just no more surgeries and no more steroids. If that leaves oral medication, so be it. There's just ain't much to be said or done in the meantime. But let's, in the meantime, we do have a little fundamental curiosity here. I have managed to break a long time ago somebody. I remember it was a nurse, and we're talking about pain medication. And she said, like in a pinch, you can take trazodone, which is what I take to sleep. And I'm thinking that might be a little much, I just kind of want my back to, it's not hurting to give me a chance to sit here. So what we're going to do is we're going to try a half of a trazodone and half, like 25 milligrams with some decongestants. I hope that'll dry my nose out and take my back pain away. Well, you'll be the second one to know. Sorry about that. And what's that old thing? Pass the teeth, pass the gums, look out tummy, here it comes. Well, look out tummy, here it comes. Be good enough, that helps. I mean, I would gladly waste a half a pill like that. How is this? Robert writes. That's always good to know. Yeah, I don't. As much as I appreciate Rob keeping me in the loop, I think we'll just kind of maintain our heading. I would really love to be able to donate to you guys. I'd love to be able to donate to everybody. But anyway, I mean, yeah, I know we won't read this. Okay, so now that we've done that, and guys, as we keep thinking about these things, I really would like to find a really good car painter, and I'd love to have my car painted black. Let's get the chrome out again. Let's convert to chrome wire wheels, and you know, or black it out, whatever you think. If you think of better with another kind of wheel, we'll do it. I'm always a sucker for wire wheels. And you will be a sucker when you visit us at democracyradionetwork.com and hit that PayPal button. Give us a call, 949-649-3820, and and you'll make us a happy bunch of campers. Now, this is kind of interesting here. I do always like these old Gibson LGs. They were cheap guitars, but God, they played really well and sounded cool. But a lousy one is $1,000. From like a lousy year and all this, and you kind of need those nice wide Gibson necks to, kind of, make it play. And so anyway, so those things are just, you could wait around, might could find one, but everybody that's got one, everybody that wants one probably has one by now. And unless you may pick one up, I wouldn't want a really nice. The problem is, I always kind of like the LG3s, but the LGO, like the bare bones ones, are always the ones that sound better. Oh, you know what? That's another kind of an interesting question, isn't it? And let's ask. Let's ask Google or Gemini or something. But anyway, let's ask him. Do plain guitars without inlays generally sound better than ornate inlaid guitars? And let's see what the old Google might say. Huh. No, they don't. I could have had ornate guitars. Just because they use better wood. How about that? They don't inherently sound better, but because it's a more expensive guitar and hopefully made with better woods. But let's see. How about its arguments for playing guitars? Jimmy D'Acquisto famously avoided inlays. Okay. Soundboard inlays, I don't care. What does that matter? So how about that? It absolutely makes no difference, or allegedly. Or rather, it's not always true that playing guitar will sound better than a fancy guitar, but I'm just a sucker for playing guitar, and even though I do like those old M45s, that'd be kind of nice, but this will be good. A decent handmade guitar, and let me see, this is going to be a really crucial time. So if anybody is listening, wants to hit the old PayPal donation, it's 949-629-3820. And we are coming up on 2:53. We're counting down to the last hour, the 3 o'clock hour. And we may kind of early as a Costa Mesa Democrats Club. It's time to go. You know, I mean, they started at 6, but that means you're going to be there 5. I won't be there 5 just to kind of schmooze a little bit. So we'll try to make it till 4. If not, if we leave a little early, I will certainly let you know. Or you'll find out if you hit the live stream and I'm gone. So yeah, we can't. Let's see what else they. Uh, how about this? What makes an OM 18 sound so good? And let's see what they say here. A dry fundamental tone. And of course, the OEM has a longer scale length, 25.4 as opposed to 24.9. That half inch makes a lot of difference. So let's see here. Most OEMs use thinner quarter-inch bracing compared to 5/16s. And you never know how light he actually made this. But let's see, quarter 4 shifted cross brace is the ultimate orchestral shape, yeah, so on and so forth. No, we're just gonna let that go from there and kind of count down the days until it gets here and be able to play acoustically. Geez, I haven't been able to play acoustically in a long time. Need to see if that tuner fits. If I get out of here early enough, maybe I'll check. And I wonder. Well, we'll text him, see what be nice to kind of drop there. I don't. I think that's what Cottonwood Music Emporium. I think he is. Cottonwood Music Emporium. That would be him. It's yeah. Oh. Friday, 11 to 3. Okay. And tomorrow, Thursday, till 5:30. I don't want to rush down there and then go back to looking for the wedding, for the meeting. And what we're talking about is a fellow named Jim who runs Cottonwood Guitars or Cottonwood Music Emporium, and he's a dynamite guy, an honest guy, and in businesses, types, but Jim is an honest guy. I've done business with him, and I can tell you that he's an honest guy. Anyway, the question is what to do with my 1972 Kimberly Triple O. It's really nice, I guess, just Sitka top, and the sides are solid mahogany. The back is 3-piece Brazilian, then maple, then Brazilian. So it's a 3-piece back. Not unlike a D35, but of course they have Indian in the middle, and this has maple. Let's see. It is as light as a feather. It booms So, I mean, it just sounds nice. Like it just, when you pick up a guitar that light, that it's going to sound good. It just has to. So anyway, but I stripped a tuner, quit working, and which means you know I was able I was had to buy either a new side of tuners or new tuners and have holes drilled, which is $100 worth of labor, and I hate holes in a guitar. So the choice was to either try to find some used ones or do nothing or sell it, whatever it is. And I found a mismatching set or a mismatching side rather, and I haven't looked yet to see whether it fits or not because I want these. I don't want, like I said, I don't want any holes. So I'm hoping these new ones you can just drop in. Uh, but even if I do that, it's gonna look bad and or look maybe a little out of place. But I just hate holes. So anyway, we've got our own what hills to die on. I guess mine is not having excessive holes drilled in my guitars. But let's visit on the gym and see if he's got anything interesting. He always does. And we always go to the used gear because we just can't do new stuff. And he's big into the pedal stuff. I don't get it. A custom shop Esquire Telecaster conversion, 2,500 smackaroos. An Epiphone Elitist. I had a left phone Elitist Les Paul that was just stunning. I bought it for like $600 off 700. Thought I was genius. Let's see, 19 and ES335, three big ones. Eric Johnson Strat, 1750, American Strat, 14. Why? I guess play what you want to play. I just original guitar, so this might inspire you to original music. Yes, it depends on your philosophical outlook, but that's really funny. I don't see any used acoustics on here. Could that be like a new thing? That I guess we can take a look. Let's see, new stuff guitars. Well, how many things are here? I don't even need it old. I don't really care. But how new? Okay. Huh. Now, who am I looking for? Oh, what's what? The Angelica, the Aquista, something like that. Uh, well, what are the old? I gotta check the specials just out of curiosity. Oh, I did kind of like that, but not as much as a real Firebird. It's just got a little obvious, but see you, Jim, at Cottonwood Music Emporium on Randolph Avenue in Costa Mesa, California, and just tell him that Uncle Ab sent you. Oh, oh my God! And of course, we've got I'll grab a little something for dinner, such as it is, uh, or maybe that's like 2 long blocks, and they'll have something there, I'm sure. But anyway, I said the Costa Mesa Democrats at the Senior Center. I think that's at the corner of Pomona and 19th, right around there, 6 to 8 o'clock. And of course, we have to be there slightly early because we are into schmoozing, and you know, schmoozing makes the world go round. Even though schmoozing just might make you schmoozier. Uh, anyway, well, try to hang together long enough to get through the last 50, oh, yeah, 57 minutes, or, some reasonable facsimile. And yet I wonder why we quit getting the musician's friend deal of the day. Oh, no, musician's friend, sorry. They have the stupid deal of the day. Like, here's our special, and if you don't order whatever it is, you're stupid. So that's we have, I don't know if we ever done the stupid deal of the day, but I'm not up for grabs, so I'm certainly open for offers. So keep that in mind. And let's see if there are any stunning political headlines that we can wrap up with. Doesn't just make you sick. Gabbard revives deep state conspiracy claims. And guess what? She's going to claim it, and that will be the basis for the investigation. That's like somebody lying and the other guy swearing to it. And let's see, the Republican senator says, stop complaining about gas prices. Okay, let's see here. Says, wants Americans to stop complaining about gas prices because they're necessary for national security. Well, I don't think that's true. I don't think he can make that case. Huh. Jeez. Yeah, it's like they just, they well, I mean, they can't get out of the way because they can't get up Trump's way. They are, they're helping the guy, and they're in for a penny, in for a pound at this point. As sad as that is. Sorry, guys, keep on staying hydrated here. And when I sailed, I was usually the hydration specialist, and nobody ever went without a cold beer. I can promise you that. Down in San Diego, they have this thing called the Hot Rum Series. Their winter frostbite, such as it is in San Diego, and we're racing against some really good guys from L.A. John Kilroy's son, I forgot his name, maybe Jim, or whatever it was, and he was on a boat named Scalawag, and we were on a Nelson Merrick 43 named Eclipse, and it was owned by a guy named Bill Banish, who made money in hotels, just as a dynamite guy, great sailor from Chicago, and his idiot partner, Banish. I forgot the other guy's name, but he's a real jerk. As Les Crouch. And it was funny because later on, last thought he was really good and had a big built and maybe Maverick or something. And they were up in San Francisco for the Big Boat series, whatever they call it now. And there's a port starboard confrontation, and Crouch is on port, so he loses, and his boat gets like totally wrecked, and you know, port starboard confrontations. I mean, you got to hit fairly hard to do any damage, but when you sail a 50-foot boat, there's a lot of horsepower in those sails. So Scalawag. Those guys were Banish was a good sailor. God, he's good. I heard he passed away not long ago, and I guess toast he and Gene McClellan and Hope Oswald, and we will toast them with the Democracy Radio Network coffee mug, complete with the domestic Democracy Radio Network sticker. Shout louder. You talk, we listen. How about that for a concept? Give us a call, 949-629-3820. We'd always curious what's going on in your mind and in your world. So let's keep the spirit alive for another half hour or so. And I don't know if anybody's had any experience with a lot of Rode equipment, but I'm using a Rode Pod mic, and I was debating a headset because I got a some kind of battery thing that will, if I start my MacBook Air M4, if we start out at full capacity, 100%, I can broadcast this show for 4 hours, and my laptop will still be at 100%, and the battery thing will recharge like an hour or less. So if anybody's getting experience with those kind of headphones, let me know. Our headsets. As far as headphones, I'm using some Shure SHR 440s. And even though they're closed back, they do bleed through. And, of course, I'm the last one to know about it because I've got the music blasting in my ears. But they're nice and comfortable. God knows they sound really good. I'm not much of an audiophile, but I know when you can hear the the subtleties in the song and in the music, and these definitely have that. I forgot what my other choices were, but let's. Who can we call? I wonder if let's see. Let's go to how about Democrat phone numbers? I don't care. The California Democratic Party contribute to the fund. I said we would like to. As time we kind of started, but say mail in Sacramento, California, they don't give you a phone number, which is kind of shocking. But let's about. Let's check that. Okay. Wayno Padilla and Newsom, Elena, Rivas, Monique, Zoe. Huh. All right. Well, let's see who else we have. How about the DNC members? That's the deal. Oh, no. No. Is there by chance anybody else we know? Let's see, Pelosi. Oh, she's from down here somewhere, but oh, oh my God. Huh. Ada Rosenio is a DNC, Democratic National Committee member. And that's a pretty big deal. I mean, I knew she was former the head of the Orange County Democratic Party, but I didn't realize she was a DNC member. And God, would it be nice to get like maybe 100 people to watch or to tune in at the same time? I mean, how do you pay people and then they would have to stay? It's tough to pay me enough to sit here for 4 hours, but we do it for you folks. We want nothing more than Democrats in, Republicans out. Yeah. And of course, like everything else in life, it always sounds really simple. It's the actual execution that will get you every time. But like I said, today is Wednesday, April 15th. And I think my guitar left Colorado on Monday afternoon. So, and I still have no idea how it's actually being shipped, but it's none of my business for $20. That's just, that just seemed like a nice thing. We'll see. If I would hate to take it right to Jim, but I don't think there's much to be done in the matter. It'll be interesting to see like the bill number and all that. I don't know much about that LR Bags Anthem SL pickup, but that was a couple $100. I don't know what they are used, but I can tell you that's kind of interesting about Ada was saying, and what is she running for? Let's see. Ada Rosenio. And let's see, what is she running for? And so what is all this stuff? Voice of OC. Let's go back up here and see if we can't. Here we go. She's a candidate for state assembly. What district? Campaign finance candidates. Let's see what's going on with candidates. District, and we are looking for Ada Rosenio. She's got to be close. Did I just see it? Apparently not. Let's keep going here. Oh, come on. How many fucking districts do you have out here? Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it later. In the meantime, it is 3:17 at the Democracy Radio Network with your host, Abby Kaufman, broadcasting from, of course, our semi-usual. Well, let's check in here. Uh, check with our semi-usual afternoon routine and kind of wet the old whistle a little bit and see about playing ourselves out with a little guitar music. Uh, OM guitars are really nice, and I've always thought they were kind of special. And maybe I'll go drop uh, drop by the old music thing, and play my acoustic. I'm sure they all kind of be shocked I'm there. But sometimes the guys just gotta play, and I kind of hate to have a non-functional guitar, but I also hate to dump $100 into it when it's 10% of another one, especially with a really nice case, and it'll be handmade guitars are the funniest things. You never know who they mean something to. But you know, I was in that Cottonwood music place, and Jim had a D'Angelico acoustic Tammany or something like that. And I got to tell you, I thought it sucked. I thought the fretwork was lousy. I thought the sound was lousy. I thought the guitar was way too heavy. Uh, the action seemed high. I don't, I clearly don't get it. And I don't know if it was new or used, but it was like $750. And what I'm wondering is whether, you know, there are a few dividing lines in the lower end of the guitar spectrum. And what I'm talking about is, these days you can get, believe it or not, a decent playable, at least in the short run, acoustic guitar for a couple $100, clearly less than 500. So that's like sheer entry level. And then to say you got, you think you'll be playing, you think you'll be sticking with it, you'd rather have something decent. And so in that case, you might spend $700 or $800. And that would be, certainly no more than 1,000. So then I think there's the last group of guitar people, and those that'll, kind of free to spend whatever they want on an instrument within reason. Excuse me. So in that case, you would hope things would get a little more playable and just a little, kind of nicer aesthetically. But keep in mind that guitars are built to be played and make sounds, and kind of secondarily to look good and have all the abalone and it's always I love telling people that I don't really think abalone has made a guitar sound better. So we were really into the plain light ones. And this one was made by a fellow named Jerry Barker, LCM Guitars in Berthold or Berthoud, whatever it is, Colorado. He's got a decent, regional reputation. Actually, really good regional reputation. And I always hate the way the people sell guitars without cases, or I guess another way to look at that would make you pay extra for the case. So, and the truth of it is, if it's a really nice guitar or a decent guitar, guitar builder made it, lithium made guitar, is they generally don't let it leave the shop in a cheap case. I mean, some guys may still do like the standard, $99 TKL standard issue stuff, but most good builders, kind of build that into the price. And and my old guitar buddy David Oakes always reminds me to, at least with decent guitars, plan on spending at least 10% of the price of guitar on the case. Don't skip on the case. And I always kind of believed that, but David was the guy that made me live it. So just about every time I get a guitar, if at all possible, I get like a really nice case. It means it's keeping the guitar nice, but it's also kind of a sign of respect that it's a fine instrument, and somebody put it together with their hands, and they while there was clearly a financial component to it, I mean the guitar's for sale. Uh, they if their guitars don't sound right and don't play well, nobody's gonna buy them. And reviews or evaluations like that, they help when they're legitimate and don't help when they don't help when they're illegitimate. So that's why I always kind of like to really take my time with the guitar review and have guitars right next to each other. And again, thank you, David Oakes. The only way to compare two guitars is side by side at in as close temporal and time proximity as you can under identical conditions if you can, and most of the time you can do that in a decent guitar store. So don't be afraid to pick up a ton of them. I mean, I'm sure I don't do this, but I would bet that on the weekends at Guitar Center there are a couple people that just kind of play their way around the room. And Guitar Center encourages that. And like I say, me, I always think that instruments were meant to be played, and they were meant to sound good and to be, like pleasant. Which is why the OM was always intriguing me. You get a little older and you don't want to put your shoulders around a big old dreadnought cowboy guitar anymore. And at a certain point, you quit, wanting the boomy cannon. You want the nice subtle, like fillet knife, just that kind of cuts through like butter. And that's kind of what we're expecting with this OM18, or even though it's he called it a Catherine 150. We are assuming that the 150 refers to 15-inch width at the lower bout, compared to Dreadnought at 16, and an upper bout's probably like 11 3/4, 12, whatever it is. Upper bout doesn't bother me so much because my shoulder doesn't go over the upper bout. My shoulder goes over the lower bout, and really, hopefully with a really thin finish. And the spruce top looked nice. The mahogany looked really nice. And, it doesn't take, you don't need super high grade, mahogany, or, you might want super high grade Brazilian just for bragging rights. More as far as, tone goes, the way the wood looks, it's not always determinative. So a tip, if you can find like a B grade, uh, where Luthier used B grade wood on a guitar just for whatever reason, seriously consider it. It just might be the sweetheart of the rodeo. Uh, and talk about that, we ordinarily would aim for sweetheart of the rodeo, but I don't know if there's much of an appetite for that at 3:27 on Wednesday, April 15th. Democracy Radio Network. Abby Kaufman, your somewhat politically savvy host. And of course, we are coming to you again from our secret location in Newport Beach, California. And just so you guys know, we're not technically at the beach, we're more like on the harbor. But, kind of digress. So let's get out there and make some music and see if we can't make some people happy in the process. I'm gonna throw the half of a transparent in my whatchamacallit, Benadryl box, and let's hit the old emails one more time. PayPal, thank you. I don't, you know, my statement's available. Well, I don't really see a need to. I mean, we know we're in debt for a while now, so let's see what we can do. Oh, and you know what? It would be good to know where there are advanced auto parts near me. Let's see here. Let's store locator. That seems like a place to go. And we will start with the great state of California. I mean, we're the biggest state in the union. Why am I having to look for this? I don't see California. Huh? Isn't that funny? Oh, how about this? How about let's try Costa Mesa and see what happens. Sorry, we cannot find any source of Costa Mesa. Huh? How about that? There's no Advanced Auto stores in the great state of California. Huh. That's certainly a bit of a shock, but we'll still need to deal with it. And let's see. That's probably the best thing we could do would be to stop and start as little as possible until we get that battery evaluated. Let's, guys, how are we going to do that? Well, we'll see who opens early. Let's see if O'Reilly's. You know what, though? It's like 3:30ish. And guys, I think we're gonna wrap up the broadcast for today. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and like I said, live from Newport Beach, the DemocracyRadioNetwork.com, and your host Abby Kaufman says farewell and adios.